Okay, let's talk about a story of a mass disappearance. It's like a cultural crime scene, really, where the evidence was just methodically erased piece by piece. And not by accident. This was by design.
You see, for years, this was the mindset inside the world's biggest broadcasters. Television, it wasn't seen as some kind of art that needed to be preserved. It was just a fleeting moment, right? A broadcast that went out into the air and was never ever meant to be seen again. It was simply content, something to be broadcast and then destroyed. The actual tapes, the ones holding these performances and stories, these moments in time, they were considered more valuable blank than with the history they actually held. And the result of all that? It's this huge void in our shared history. It's filled with the ghosts of programs that millions of people watched, but now they're just gone. Forever. It's like a black hole right in the middle of our collective memory. So, the big question is, where did it all go? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. We're going to investigate how entire archives were systematically wiped out, what precious moments we lost, and the incredible story of the treasure hunters who are still trying to piece our memory back together. To really get your head around this, you first have to grasp the shocking scale of the loss. I mean, this wasn't just a bit of spring cleaning. This was a full-on cultural demolition, and it happened all over the world. The most famous case, and probably the one that brought this whole crisis to light for a lot of people, involves a certain Time Lord. Almost 100 episodes from the first 6 years of the iconic sci-fi show Doctor Who are just missing from the BBC archives. Entire adventures, the very first appearances of legendary monsters, poof, vanished. And look, this wasn't just a sci-fi thing or something that only happened in the UK. In Britain, you had hugely popular comedies like The Men from the Ministry that lost over 100 episodes, way more than were actually saved. And at the exact same time, over in the US, pioneering networks were doing the same thing, systematically erasing their own history. For so many of these beloved shows, just surviving was the exception, not the rule. But this is what gets me. The sheer audacity of this policy is just staggering. The BBC, they even wiped their own original broadcast tapes of the Apollo 11 moon landing. Think about that. One of the single most important televised events in human history, and the original recording was considered disposable. You have to understand, this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a fire or a flood or some catastrophe. It was a deliberate, routine policy. Inside the industry, it even had a name, junking. It was just an item on a to-do list, a standard operating procedure. But why, right? Why would a broadcaster actively destroy its own work? The motive wasn't some kind of malice. It was actually tragically simple. It was just a case of cold, hard economics. It was really a perfect storm of economic pressure and a total lack of foresight. I mean, videotape was a brand new, super expensive technology. Storing thousands of these bulky tape reels took up a ton of valuable space. And the whole idea of a rerun market or home video, it just didn't exist yet. Nobody saw any future value in this stuff. So this was the cold calculation they were making every single day. A blank tape was often considered more valuable to the institution than the unique, irreplaceable program recorded on it. The potential to record tomorrow's news was worth more than the effort to save yesterday's drama. It's as simple as that. But here's where the story takes a turn. The destruction isn't the end. Decades later, when people finally realized the cultural value of what was lost, the whole thing transformed into this amazing global detective story. So you had this army of fans, archivists, and professional researchers, and they began this global treasure hunt. And the things they found? It's just astonishing. Tapes and films were turning up in the most unlikely corners of the world, from film vaults in Hong Kong to dusty old storerooms in Nigeria. And the way these episodes survived, it often came down to just pure dumb luck. To this day, there's still no official explanation for how these BBC film cans, part of this sprawling 12-part Doctor Who story, ended up in a church basement in London. I mean, the best guess is that the space was used for rehearsals or something, but honestly, nobody really knows for sure. But even when they found something, wow. The incredible 2013 find in Nigeria came with just a heartbreaking twist. So after surviving for decades in this forgotten relay station, one of the 10 recovered film cans went missing again, somewhere in transit on its way back to the BBC. It just proves how fragile these artifacts are, even today. So yeah, even with these amazing discoveries, don't get me wrong, the hunt is nowhere near over. The gaps in our cultural memory are vast, and some of the most important moments might never, ever be recovered. And we're not just talking about a few missing items here and there. For some periods of TV history, especially in the 1960s, what's lost just massively outweighs what has been saved. What we're looking at is the surviving sliver of a much, much larger whole. This whole saga really raises a fundamental question, doesn't it? It's about ownership. Is a TV show the sole property of a corporation who can do whatever they want with it? Or is it part of our shared heritage, with the broadcaster just acting as a temporary caretaker for all of us? And like we said, this was never just a British story. Landmark moments in television history from all around the world just vanished. In the US, the Dumont television network aired what's considered the first ever sitcom, a show called Mary Kay and Johnny. Today, almost none of it survives. Think about the pioneering works that pushed cultural boundaries. They're now just footnotes in history books. The Gallery of Madame Lu's Song, which starred Anna May Wong, was the first U.S. show with an Asian American lead. That, too, has vanished, with almost no surviving footage at all. Which leaves us with one final, kind of haunting thought. The treasure hunt is not over. These cultural ghosts, they are still out there, just waiting in mislabeled film cans in forgotten storerooms. Who knows what history is just sitting there, waiting to be rediscovered in someone's attic or garage or some dusty old basement.